Give me a C. Meow. Give me an A. Meow. Give me a T. Meow. What does that spell? That spells cat. And we'd like to welcome you to the Cat Show with Mr. Meow, as he more than scratches the surface with creative and analytical thinking that is, rolling around in our brains each and every day so that we can live a life of Moo La Vie. Meow. Today's episode brought to you by Behave Boldly. Order your copy today. BehaveBoldly.com. Pony Friday and Moo La Vie. Please subscribe. Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Meow, also known as Kevin Leonard Gebert, and I have the total honor, privilege, and every other synonym in the dictionary, and maybe rhyme zone too, to introduce the one and only CEO, CFO, creative director, smile queen of Pony Friday, and author of Behave Boldly. The one, the only. Did I say the one, the only? Because she is the original and cannot be duplicated. I'm sure there's a song somewhere there, Elise. Elise Russell, welcome to the Cat Show.
Meow. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Well, you might wonder why it's called the Cat Show. Do you ever wonder that, Elise?
I sure do.
Thank you. The Cat Show is creative and analytical thinking. I do not use acronyms just so I can put a lot of words into a sentence, but that is a good idea. 10-letter acronyms. But CAT is creative and analytical thinking. And what would be a Cat Show other than trying to more than scratch the surface into, see, Elise has two brains, okay? Two sides of the brain. You can't see it with her lovely long hair, and you're distracted by her wonderful smile. But she does have an analytical and a creative side. And that's why we have this video cast and podcast if you're listening without video, and transcript if you're reading without video or without voice. But Elise, welcome to the Cat Show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I feel like I'm bringing the giddy up and the neigh to the Cat Show.
Oh, that is a perfect introduction. So I've known you for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. And
I just love what you do. Your smile on your face, the whole idea of just being an entrepreneur, and the story that I know, but I'm not going to tell the story. I'm going to have you tell the story. So let's just start with why Pony Friday?
Well, Kevin, the whole idea behind Pony Friday is to have the most fun possible, and society always covets ponies. It's kind of the gift that everyone talks about. Well, I just want a pony. And Fridays, we're always waiting for Fridays. So it's kind of like the best of the best. And that's how we like to focus on things, is like, how can we in business and life have the best of the best?
So, but we can still, you're giving me permission, our listeners or viewers, permission to have a pony Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Oh, absolutely. It's a feeling. So you can make your Pony Friday feeling every day of the week.
Okay. So maybe there's a song too, like, let's have a Pony Friday.
Well, you are inspiring me. I did talk to my team about, it's really not a good idea for us to rule out a future album. Like, it could be cool.
it could be. Nothing written, nothing sung.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what the evolution of Pony Friday, how long has it been galloping along?
Or
is that no? What's there's different sections of how a pony walks, right? So there's like a horse. Is there?
Like
have you ever thought of that?
A walk, trot, canter.
There we go. How long have you been cantering?
We've been cantering for almost 9 years. Pony Friday turns 9 in July.
And what do you do to celebrate? Do ponies have candles? Do they have like rides? Do they have like what does a pony do? What does Elise going to do for 9?
That's a great question, and it's so interesting because every year we've kind of had like a group barbecue or a little public party. Last year we launched my book Behave Boldly, which is actually about my struggles as an entrepreneur. So the subtitle is Your Dreams Won't Chase Themselves, and it really is about picking yourself up. And the hilarious part for me, or the irony, is that most of that wisdom had to be applied to my own journey in 2020 with the pandemic. So
yeah. So before we get in the pandemic,
yeah.
What I think a lot about rocks. I have rocks in my songs.
Yeah.
I am maybe I'm a rock star. I don't know. But I do collect rocks, foundation, that sort of thing. But if we look at the other side, okay, rock bottom.
Yes.
Did you ever have that as an entrepreneur? Because the people who are listening and watching, they're entrepreneurs, but also they're, they want to be an entrepreneur perhaps. And
Sure.
The whole idea of the cat show is being analytical and forgetting about the creative side, because I'm no brain surgeon, but the feedback that I get and the reading that I get is that the creative side does influence the analytical side.
Yeah.
Right? So have you hit rock bottom? Did you make the move and start Pony Friday because you were at rock bottom?
I think there's a couple things. So when you're talking about rocks, and I'm thinking about horses, rocks always get stuck in horse hooves, and you have to pick them out. And I think that, it's like a little pebble in your shoe that wears at you. And that really is how I felt in my advertising career. So even though I had a creative position and I always worked in creative departments, I felt really constricted in what I was able to work on, the projects, the different clients, and also the opportunities for growth. So Pony Friday started because I didn't want to be my boss. I didn't have any aspirations of going in that direction, and I just wanted to have more autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, rock bottom. So I was doing really well when I started Pony Friday. I had a lot of big contracts with agencies. I had a great reputation. So getting my foot out the door and kind of owning my time a little bit better was a fairly easy transition for me. When I started shifting to grow the Pony Friday brand, I had more struggles for sure, because I made Pony Friday our biggest client. So all the stuff that we do for other clients always kind of falls second to Pony Friday, because it's the vision of what it can be for the future. And most businesses fail to build their brand, and I didn't want to be that version of a business. But rock bottoms, I feel like I've hit a few, and there's always a deeper bottom. So you have to be careful. But one thing that I would say I'm guilty of is I'm 90% creative brain and 10% analytical, and I let my creative side drive my business a lot more than I probably should if we're looking at revenues and profitability. But I mean, I'm the only shareholder, so I get final say. And I think that there's a lot of power in that and a lot more risk. But the risk is mine. And with hitting rock bottom, I think that you start to question what's really important and putting everything up on the chopping block. So I used to own a house. I used to have real estate, and I don't anymore, because my vision for Pony Friday was more important to me than that at this point in my life. And I think that that's what it boils down to. Most people that I interact with who fantasize about being an entrepreneur or dabbled in it and quit aren't willing to sacrifice the lifestyle that they've become accustomed to in order to have it. And it's not that you won't get that stuff back. It's just that you almost have to clean out your closet before you can buy new clothes. And that whole thing of clearing out in order to build up. And that's too scary for most people. And I have to say, before I started Pony Friday, I didn't know the kinds of sacrifices or risks or things that I would have to give up. And had you asked me the laundry list when I first started,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have been able to wrap my mind around it.
Mm-hmm.
But at different points in the journey, you have this burning desire to create something. Like, I wouldn't have known I was going to publish a book or the amount I was willing to invest in doing it right. Even a couple of years before that, the idea of spending $500 to hire an editor just was like mind blowing. And I spent considerably more than that.
I've wrote a book too. So I know the marketing and all that stuff, right? And I'm on my second one, and I'm, things have changed over 6 years, right?
Yes.
Since my first one. So when to pivot a bit on that, as an entrepreneur, like a creative, and how do you work? Because I see the back, you have the Ace of Hearts, right?
Yes.
So do you wear your heart on your sleeve in the sense of when it comes to the creative side, and then maybe the analytical side kind of, gets in the way of creativeness? Because I realized the other day, not the other day, that my creative style is hindered, or the hurdle that I face on my creative side, because I'm totally analytical as a financial planner.
Mm-hmm.
So my creative side helps me release myself from being analytical, right?
Yes.
But then because I'm analytical, my hurdle that I'm up against on my creative side is technology.
Okay.
Right? So basically, that is what gets me back to the analytical side. So it's a kind of a circle, the analytical, the creative, but the creative is analytical, that sort of thing, right? So just with the Ace of Hearts there, is that how do you go about any hurdle as an entrepreneur that you have had with Pony Friday? How do you go ahead to get what you want? Or sorry, not to get personally, but get what you want so that you can give the client the best experience possible, so they can literally have Pony Friday earlier than maybe you have had it, in the sense of why you have Pony Friday, right?
Yeah, and I think passion is a great word for that. I think that, I'm very passionate. I find that I don't work on things when I'm not feeling passionate, and that sounds unprofessional, but I think that it's a matter of balancing what you need to fill your cup before you do the work. And if you haven't done enough of that, that your efficiency and the kind of work, the value of the product isn't going to be as high. And recently I've been really struggling with that, because there have been a ton of things pulling at me. My attention is diverted. And even just this week, I realized that I needed more people in my network that I could hire to help me with certain pieces that were just getting stuck in the workflow, that didn't need my attention right away, but they needed me to direct. And I didn't have to do as much of the granular stuff. And that's one of the things I've done more and more, is try to get more help. But it's hard. It's hard to, one, release control of your creativity, but also accept help when somebody is dissecting your work. And so today, actually, I'm working on a script, and I've written this script, and I get my team to help. And so they give me feedback. And my initial reaction, Kevin, is, how dare you be so critical when you have not invested the time I have invested to get the script here. Mm-hmm. And so that's always my first reaction. My second reaction is, thank goodness you're here to help me see the holes and make it that much better. But when you talk about emotion, It's a difficult thing, but to play the game at the level that I choose to play creatively, if I don't have people poking holes in my
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
all the time, it doesn't get to the level it needs to be, which means I don't have that same reputation. I don't have that same pride. Like the stuff that we put out has like pretty high standards, and it's not there because it's just me. It's there
Yep.
because there's a whole team of people telling
Yep.
each other
Mm-hmm.
where it's shitty.
Yep. Yeah, because the one thing with those hurdles of technology is I'm one that I have to learn to get away from having to try things out so I understand them,
Yes.
right? Like that's important. That's me, right? But a year ago I think it is, yeah, I took a video challenge, right?
Okay.
I just went on a video challenge, 10-day video challenge with some local colleagues of mine in Vancouver, and I learned about video, right? Because I knew that I wanted to do video as a complement to the work I do, right?
Hmm.
Especially when people have said I have a good face for radio, and I just wanted to prove them wrong, because it's very
That's so nice.
subjective. It's very subjective, right? But basically, I need to understand something in order to know who to find to help me in the future,
Yes.
rather than giving someone a blank check and saying, okay, I need this video done or whatever.
Yes.
And so maybe that's not the right way for everybody, but that's how I do it, right? And it's been a good road. Is that okay? Now I know what I can do and what I can't do, right? And how I can improve it and so forth, right? And it's been a blast. But it's one of those things is that you have to learn how to ask for help,
Yeah.
right? Because I was a little personal side, I've this story, but I had my marriage end and my mom die, in the same couple weeks, and then a year later, so I was 2 years later, I was in an airplane, and the show at the beginning, not the show, but the demonstration, that no one pays attention to. But I was just paying attention because I had airplane. I had my kids one weekend, and then flying the next weekend, airplane, right? So 3 or 4 airplane rides, seeing clients, and I was always having the oxygen mask, and it's always okay, it's very important, right? But it just hit me like like oxygen just came at me. The oxygen mask is that I got to put the oxygen mask on myself first,
Yes.
right? So as an entrepreneur, right, you might not look after yourself as an entrepreneur, right? So how have you found that when you're trying everything, right? But then if you try everything, then you might feel, okay, my company might not be around, because then all those people that I need to work with and all that stuff, I'm just throwing everything, but at the end of the day, where's the foundation, right? So
Yeah.
I guess, just, it's not a set question, but the foundation of Pony Friday, okay, like you said, the standard,
Yes.
okay, I don't believe that standard will ever cement,
Sure.
right? So do you think of that? Is there a process that you go through to make sure that you're having that standard? Is it simply as a checklist that you go through, or how can you put the Pony Friday stamp on something when you are giving someone else the ability to create something for you?
Well, nothing goes out until it has my stamp of
No, I know.
approval.
Okay, yeah, no, I know that, but you're not gonna. How have you learned how to evolve that Pony Friday stamp when you're struggling on, no, I got to do this, I got to do this. Okay, you're letting someone else kind of
Yeah.
create the Pony Friday, but you want, as an entrepreneur, me too, I
Yeah.
have to put the Moulavi stamp on it, or the Green Rock stamp on it, right? But how do you go about allowing yourself to let someone else look at Pony Friday from a different perspective and say, hey, I didn't think of that, but that is cool?
Yeah. So one of the benefits of having people who've worked with me for years is they have a sense of where we're going, and they also have learned to push back. And that's something that we had to work on, because a lot of different creative places that they might have worked or experience that they might have had, they weren't encouraged to have that level of pushback. And even, I want you to challenge me. I want you to sell me
Yeah.
on it, especially if you think that Pony Friday should go in a different way. And especially if I'm kind of navigating one way and you don't agree, because I think that having a team ownership is a healthy way. But I mean, I still have the final say.
Yeah.
I think what you were saying earlier about maintaining that standard kind of led me to like that whole thing of entrepreneurial self-care. And there was a moment earlier this year when I was walking with my friend in the park, and I said, the problem isn't that I don't take care of Pony Friday. The problem is that when clients come on board, I am the one that falls off. So Pony is taken care of, but Elise is just like, what happened? So that's something that I am actually focused on this year, for 2021, is to make sure that I get the stuff that I need. And that's why I'm hiring other people to help fill in some of the gaps where I felt like I don't need to be doing that heavy lifting. But in the interim, as I onboard people, there's a lot more work for me to do, because I have to train them as to what I want and I expect. And that's exhausting. But once people are there, and if they stick around, then it's well worth the time
Yeah.
to get them onboarded.
Yeah. Because I think too, is I don't know, again, this is just, I'm just off the top of my head, is that I have one mouth and two ears. Okay. So sometimes as an entrepreneur, you can have to remember that you have two ears,
Yes.
and then listening to others, then you, as the rubber stamp, can take that information, ask more questions, clarify, or say thank you very much. Right.
Yes.
And that's not the easiest thing to do. Right. Because if you don't allow yourself to do that, then you are going to be looking for more hours in the day.
Oh, so
Right. We still
yeah.
do, but you know what I'm saying? There's always, there's never enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid, you're trying to fit in a project into February that's the shortest month of the day, or the month of the year.
Yes.
You didn't go through that. So 30, you have a business plan or a marketing idea. Okay, 30 days has September, April, June, and November, all the rest of 31. Okay, so certain things need that extra day.
Yes.
And heaven forbid leap year.
Yeah. I think, circling back to criticism, like I started my post-secondary education in fine arts. And so I feel like for well over 2 decades, I have been having my work critiqued. And I remember one of my early critiques, and this other young woman was crying because what was said about her artwork. And like I was so soft and emotional, and I'm still that person. But part of what I do when I hear something that I don't like, or my team tells me something that I don't want to hear, is I force myself to sit with it, and I force myself to shelve my emotions. Or if I can't, I go for a walk, I do something else, and then I revisit it and try to remove my creative emotional side and bring in the analytical version, and then dissect it and say, okay, well, what parts of what they said are accurate? And is that information enough for us to need to change what happened now, or to apply that knowledge to the next project? And that's, something that I'm going to struggle with forever. If I've been training my brain for 20 years plus on that, it's going to be an exercise forever.
Yeah, because I think if you two, both of us put our brains together, because you're more creative side and I'm more analytical, like this is like a super, super computer.
Sure.
I think. You think so? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So that brings up a question then, is that with, like, for me, I need creativity to take me away, or at least give me a break from my analytical mind.
Yes.
And it's just normal as a financial planner, money manager, all that stuff, right? And I even analyze my jokes when I write stand-up jokes. So, that's a whole different, but so any like nuggets that you could just summarize in the sense of someone that feels like they want to be creative, but they need that analytical?
Uh, you know what? If you think about analyzing stuff, you're always focusing on little details. And with creativity, you're in play mode. And that's one thing that I think makes it hard for me to fit into the rest of society. I'm a woman in my 40s who exists 99% of the time in the play zone. And that's my normal existence. And I think that it would be great if I just had people around me, and I'm getting more and more of them, my accountant, my bookkeeper, and people to just take care of that stuff, so I never had to do the analytical, because being creative for me is just fun, and why wouldn't I want to have fun all the time? And I think that what happens when analytical brain people sit down to play is they'll have a coloring book and they color within the lines. And instead of taking a blank sheet of paper and, painting or trying different textures and cutting stuff and gluing it, and not for the purpose of creating, but for the purpose of exploration and experiencing different textures and, cutting different things and folding different things. And that's where the good stuff comes from. That is where the magic happens. It's not if you can't free your mind, it's really difficult to come up with a great idea.
Yeah, because I go out for walks, have some tunes on, and I come up with my ideas, right?
Yes.
If you were to ask me to sit down and write a joke, right, or sit down and write a song, I couldn't do it. Okay, but I can sit down and write a song and write a joke.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. I can't just do it. Has to come to me, and sometimes it takes me an hour, sometimes it takes me a minute, right? And so I just can't take the analytical, okay, I have to do it in here, right? I just can't do that, right? My first book I wrote from like 10 to 2 in the morning.
Sure.
Right? Because I can't write in the morning, right?
Sure.
But, I wish I had a little pen and paper beside my bed, because sometimes I got to run downstairs to my office and get a piece of paper because some lyric is in my head when I was walking up the stairs with my dog or cat or something like that, or I hear something on the radio or something like that, or a joke comes to my mind, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of the whole, my fascination just with the analytical and the creative brain is that as a business owner, yes, we got to be analytical because we have a balance sheet, we have people we have to pay ourselves. Maybe we're fortunate enough to have a business to sell down the road in lieu of our retirement plan,
Sure.
that sort of thing, pension plan, right? And again, that's the analytical side. But sometimes maybe I'll put a song on and I come up with some solution from an analytical standpoint just from hearing lyrics, right? So
well, and if you think about it, you analyzed what was the best time for you to write, and you just took it. And I've dog walked with a pen and paper in my pocket because I know that at some point during my walk, something's going to come up that I'm going to want to jot down. But there are also times when I don't take things specifically because I don't want to be trying to catch things.
Yeah. And when you're not trying the solution, you're not trying to find the rainbow, but the rainbow appears, right?
Sure.
Just,
yes.
I don't know if that's a good analogy, but just when you're talking there, I thought of one of the songs I wrote. It's called Amaze to Amazing, right? And I think that could be a good analogy of a brain, because amaze, one would think, is the analytical side, and amazing is the creative side, when, oh, why, the smile comes on your face, right? And because I think as business owners, we take people, our clients, that might have a maze, which could be a problem. They don't know which way to turn, left, right, whatever. And then we can take that maze in their lives into something amazing. And in your case, create that Pony Friday. Right?
Well, it's so interesting that you talk about a maze, because if you think of a labyrinth,
Yeah.
the analytical side is assessing the labyrinth and taking all the paths and, recording where they've been. And the creative is like, okay, well, I'm just going to blow up this helium balloon and float to the sky and look at it from above and get a different perspective. And that's, I think the two go hand in hand. And when you talk about, your cat show and how the creative and analytical side, I know that being analytical is not my strong suit. And not only that, I don't want to invest time to strengthen that, because I know that my creative side is where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to find people that I can rely on to pull in as the analysts. And I'm getting more and more of those individuals so that I can grow my creative side even bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just, as a financial guy, I'm dealing with the analytical side of budgets and cash flow and investing and that sort of thing. Right. And then, I guess that could lead to a question in regards to when you are too analytical, sometimes you think, okay, why am I doing this? Right. So do you have any things that any regrets of jumping into the whole entrepreneur world, in the sense of, or do you think if you weren't, hey, here's a good segue, or whatever you want to call it, is that, do you think that if you weren't who you are, okay, if your brain was reversed and you were more analytical, okay, than creative, do you think Pony Friday would be where it is today?
No, no, of course not. No, there's no way. It is so interesting. I have a lot of analytical friends, and I think that a lot of creatives I know are heavily analytical. And the strategic move that most individuals make is they keep their full-time job, they work some side hustles, they get a client base, they put some people on retainer, and they have a nice safety net, and then they go and do it. Mm-hmm. I believe in pressure cookers. I think that creatives do really well in a pressure cooker. And so I just launched myself into this environment. It's like the whole sink or swim. And because I'm always focused on what's the next bold move and putting myself in uncomfortable situations, it's evolved into something that is much richer than a traditional version of, a branding, marketing shop or a design shop. I mean, we have a whole merch line. We have the Kiss My Pony app for creative entrepreneurs, which I can't even believe the stuff that we're doing. It's just so exciting. It just blows my mind, because that's so out there. It's like, what else can we do? And every time we make a step in a exciting direction, we're passionate, we run that way, and we're like, yeah, this would be great, instead of feeling like we're on a hamster wheel. Because even as a creative, you can get on a hamster wheel. You're like, oh, I chose the most fun career ever. But if you're not evolving, it gets pretty redundant.
Yeah. Because we've talked about this before. As an entrepreneur, the analytical is we talk about ROI. Okay. Now the analytical brain, okay, return on investment. Okay. The creative brain, what did you call it? Return on influence?
No, return impact? On inspiration.
Return on inspiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Yeah.
Because if you're not having fun, you don't want to show up, you don't want to think of things, and you also have to execute enough things and complete stuff and put it out there to keep the energy turning. And people, from outside are validating you, they're joining you, they're interacting because they're curious as to what you're doing. It's exciting and it's unpredictable in a fun way. So
Yeah.
we have our core brand that's about behaving boldly and helping you live your best life, but that can just sprout into so many exciting ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's just the more you think about it, is that the two brains, you're wanting to make an influence in life, you're wanting to make an impact in life, but the numbers have to be there, right?
Well, if you think even like Walt Disney, if he
Mm-hmm.
didn't have his brother,
Yeah.
it was his brother that was the whole analytical side and he just focused on creative.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we are going through a pandemic at the filming of this taping of this video cast. How have you pivoted? How have you put that what do you put on a, is it a horse and a pony, you put on to whoa kind of thing, right?
With some rains?
The reins, yes. How have you put on the creative reins of pony to go back and forth, or feeling that you're going back and forth?
Well, I'm laughing because the joke was last year. Well, because we're almost a year into the pandemic,
Yeah.
and I was pretty emotional. I feel like every video chat with my team, I was either crying or on the verge of tears. And if I wasn't, I was laughing because laughing's better than crying.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that you need reins when the horse is lying on the ground wondering if it's going to survive. So
Mhm.
it was, we had a full halt, like a full abrasive halt. We were about to have the busiest March probably of our entire business. And we had a pop-up shop planned literally that week that everything got shut down. We had 2 big projects, contract signs, like in motion. Everything was in motion. And to have not even a screech of brakes, but just like done.
Mhm.
And having difficult conversations with clients who are like, what, we can't proceed, things change so drastically, we don't even know what we're doing, we're having to look at layoffs, we have to cancel this project. And you can't be the business, it's like, well, we have it signed and you owe us this
Yeah.
money, like you just can't. And so suddenly we had no idea who we were going to be. It just felt like all the things that we had been doing were gone. And that we had an opportunity to either, fold up and walk away or reinvent ourselves. And I think that part of the fortunate part is that I had 2 people willing to show up and have weekly calls and talk about what that could look like. We still worked on stuff for Pony Friday. I hadn't launched my book. That was still in the works. It was in the
Mhm.
final design process, which also like massively hurt my head of, why would I put a book out for Pony Friday if Pony Friday wasn't going to survive? Like, yeah. And I think that so many great things came out of that. And they always say, like, don't let a good crisis go to waste. And it's not even that you have to do anything, you just have to show up every day and
Yeah.
kind of ask, what can I do? How can I move the needle? And, some days it was all I could do just to feel like an ounce of optimism, or like drag myself out the door to walk the dogs. Like it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Your
Still,
Dalmatian, your
still not
Dalmatians,
pretty.
your Dalmatians haven't showed up yet.
Oh, you don't want them to show up.
Oh.
They're sleeping.
Oh, they're good feet warmers, huh?
Yeah, they're
Yes,
and
yes. I
behaving.
I have my door to the office shut just because my cat and dog will be you know on video it looks like I have one of those feather pens, but it's actually a
Nice.
cat tail that comes with the video. Um, but yeah, no, because even with investments and everything that's happening in the stock market and all that stuff, it's since beginning of March, it's we all become Zoom experts, right?
Yes.
But just from a personality standpoint, from a psyche, we're home more. We don't have to travel to jobs a lot of the time. So now we have a lot more time to think, and sometimes people overthink things. And, instead of going for a walk or whatever, I try to go for a walk and put my tunes on, but still, right.
Sure.
But I've learned one thing, that when I'm on stage, one thing that I say jokingly, but there's a seriousness to it, is when I'm on stage, I tell jokes, right? Well, stand-up comedy, tell jokes, ha ha. Ha ha moolah. That's yeah. But that's a different show. But I tell people to laugh with me or at me. Okay, just don't tell me. Right.
Sure.
So, but the moral of the story, though, is that I want them to smile.
Yeah.
I want them to laugh. And if it's at my expense, all the power to them, right? But as entrepreneurs, I think one of the main goals is to have our clients, they might not smile from an outward standpoint,
Sure.
but if they're smiling on an in an inward standpoint, that's more than likely they're going to come back.
Yes.
Right. And they're going to tell others about, that, right? So that's where, finding our own, as an entrepreneur, our own equilibrium or our own, that's not the right word, just a whole mixture of creativity and the analytical side, right? Because one of the things from an analytical side, I'm looking at top down and bottom up, right? So you look at the issue from a bottom up standpoint or a top down, and that's analytical, that's numbers thing, but that comes into working with clients too, right? So
sure.
One thing before we go, I don't know if it's going to call this a speed round or whatever, but you are the author of, and we should have a video an interview just on the book.
Okay.
Behave Boldly. But I made some notes.
Okay.
So I am, won't call this a speed round, but maybe, from your perspective of Pony Friday, CEO, movement maker, impact maker, influence maker, the queen of influence. Okay. Some of your books, in some words of wisdom. Okay. And I will, when I talk to other people on this, I will quote, the philosopher, Elise Russell. Okay? So the philosopher, Elise Russell, said, no perfection needed.
Yeah.
So what's I know I'm putting you on the spot, but no perfection needed. Why do people think they have to be perfect?
Honestly, it's self-preservation. If you put something out that's perfect and there's no room for anyone to find something wrong with it, and that self-preservation, it's very vulnerable to put something out there that isn't perfect. And since perfection is impossible, most people don't put stuff out there, and that's the problem.
Yeah. Brave enough to stand out.
I'm practicing this one. When that people are looking to you, looking at you, sometimes you feel that you're being judged rather than admired. And, the difference is really difficult to discern. And sometimes even feeling like you're admired isn't welcome, right? It still puts you on the spot and brings more attention to your behavior. And it's a practice.
Yeah. Be picky.
Oh my goodness. That's because just because we can't get perfection doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for it.
The scariest things have the most potential to help you grow.
Oh my goodness. I think the pandemic is a great example of that in play post book. Is just how overwhelmed all of a sudden your business contracts and everything that you had in play just evaporating and stepping forward anyhow, and not even knowing what that looked like. I think that I pretty much lived in uncertainty, as most people did, but more than that, my identity is tied into being an entrepreneur and owning my own business. And I have, put so much on the line to believe in my dream that
Mhm.
it felt pretty sketchy.
And the last one, you just mentioned the word dream.
Yeah. Was that your question? Dream?
Yeah, dream.
I think the key for dreaming is always evolving that dream. When you first had your dream, you weren't the version you are now. And so I don't think that you should ever dismiss your dream, but your dream probably gets bigger as you're
Mhm.
able to hold a bigger thought.
Yeah. So, any words of wisdom to add to our conversation, dear philosopher Elise?
For the analytical people, practice playing. You will never, never waste time playing. We don't do enough of it. And for the creatives, I think that we'll get advice from Kevin on being analytical.
So, are you saying that you're going to have? Oh yeah, we'll have on the bottom during the when we release this, we'll have an more information on Podium Friday. We'll have something in the bottom. I'll have the information at the bottom. But maybe I'm just thinking, maybe we could have a webinar, Pony Friday Playdate,
Yeah.
Pony Friday, just learning how to play with Play-Doh.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Just coloring, in pencil and acrylic and whatever have you, right?
I love it. I think that's great.
Yeah.
It means I get to go buy Play-Doh and new markers. And
I know, and we could just have instead of a square, okay, we'll call it the creative no squares allowed. Kind of like the show No Batteries Included,
right.
No squares allowed.
No squares.
No squares. No squares. Except those chocolate squares, those icy squares that come out at Christmas time.
Okay.
That melt in your mouth. Those squares are allowed.
Delicious.
Okay. Delicious. Not healthy, but delicious. So
January's over. It's February.
I know, but I'm just saying you could be watching this in November and next year.
Yeah.
Because Pony Friday and Elise Russell is not a time certain experience.
No.
Right? We could be in 2073. Okay.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. And however we look, you're gonna look more wonderful than me, but it's you never know, right? So that's the impact of Pony Friday. Okay, is timeless.
I also just want to comment that I'm saying it here now, and I've said it before. I don't plan to retire. So I'm still going to be working on Pony Friday in 52 years when I am, what is that, 94.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. I'll be a little bit older than that. But we'll be swinging on we'll be probably on the beach together, right?
Okay.
In a chair, with this hologram or something, right? You're in Calgary or wherever you are. I'm in Surrey, Vancouver, wherever we are, right? And we're on a hologram. We each have our ponies.
Nice.
And we're just feeding them with the friends around us with the Pony Friday creativity.
I love it. I love it.
Yes. I gotta get me one of those pillows. Gotta get me one of those pillows so I dream every night.
Sure, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, Elise, it's been a pleasure. It's been a perfect interview. Now, I would be amiss. I hope you have a few seconds here. Okay.
Sure.
I know you have dogs. Okay?
Yes.
But it is a cat show. Okay. So do you have a story of a cat that was, the cat came back the very next day, or the cat was just perfectly Or is it just, cats are just not well, they're not the Pony Friday thing because it would be Cat Friday.
Well, I love animals.
Yes.
So I definitely have a lot of cat interactions in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
like snuggling with cats. When I was quite young, my first introduction to a loud purring cat was something that made me uncomfortable because I didn't really understand what was happening. But the most interesting cat story that pops to my mind is when we were, I don't know, teenagers in high school. We had kittens that we'd brought home from the SPCA, and
Mm-hmm.
one of them was quite petite, and her tail kind of stuck up and had like almost like a little crook at the end, like a flag.
Mm-hmm.
And she would prance along, and we lived out on an acreage. And she was adorable, like the sweetest thing, but she vanished. And we thought, well, cats can stray a little bit. They'll be back. She'll be back. And her companion cat was a little bit bigger, and he kind of strutted like he owned the place. And after she disappeared, he was looking at the sky all the time. And so we figured that an owl took her away.
Oh. Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean for this to be a dark story. That's just the one that came.
No. I didn't know it was an story.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was a hiss.
Yes.
And then
Yes, I know. Yeah. No, it's my cat is Bundy after the famous wrestler King Kong Bundy.
okay.
So KK Bundy Czar, because I believe the breed was born in Russia sometime about 20 years ago.
Okay.
But he's very loud, and he tells me through his language. So my next book might be, a compilation of cat vocabulary.
Nice.
But it's he's good to have around. He's very compassionate in his own way, and cats are intuitive.
Yes.
And so it's or pets in general, right?
Yes.
And I do have a Mexican hairless dog that is for the Roof show. But she's a little bit smaller than your Dalmatian's foot.
Right. Yes.
Yes. So
Wow.
she has a mohawk, but she is naked.
Oh.
So there's sweaters during the summer or during winter, and sunscreen during the summer.
Right.
And but she is a warm blanket.
Nice.
Yes. That believes that there's a treat every time you go outside to do your business. And I wish I got a treat every time I did my business. No. I wish I got I wish I have to wait the business that we do sometimes does not give us this smile on our face as quick as we want to.
Yes.
But we know how it feels when the smile appears. So we're waiting to do the work to earn that smile from those that we work with.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
Yeah, it's called a paycheck.
Yeah. So, but it's been a perfect interview, philosopher Elise Russell, and our friendship. I totally appreciate that, and being part of the Pony Friday groups and all that stuff. You add inspiration, not only just talking on camera here, but you and who you surround yourself with. I'm very thankful for being part of it. And you're one of those people that give me inspiration, and the people that you surround yourself with to help me here at Moula V and the work that I do, and help me to grow my unused creative side, where you might think, that analytical Kevin guy, oh my goodness, do we really have to have him here? So, and maybe, I look forward to what the future has. So thanks again for being a guest on the Cat Show, where we more than scratch the surface on how we put a smile on your face in the work that you do.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Okay. Thanks, Elise.
Give me a C. Meow. Give me an A. Meow. Give me a T. Meow. What does that spell? That spells cat. And we'd like to welcome you to the Cat Show with Mr. Meow, as he more than scratches the surface with creative and analytical thinking that is, rolling around in our brains each and every day so that we can live a life of Moo La Vie.